I'm
sorry, in the what?
In the Ironton Tribune, Ironton, Ohio. He runs a YouTube channel with approximately 41,000 subscribers. He often live broadcasts himself to hundreds of people. He is credited on some small bit roles in some feature films, not feature films, but independent films on IMDb. He purports himself to be an entrepreneur. He purports himself to be a constitutional law scholar, despite having absolutely no law education whatsoever, nor any credentials. So Mr. DeCastro runs a YouTube channel by the name of Delete Lawz. It is a generally anti-government, anti-police YouTube channel. I do run the YouTube channel Masshole Report. I've been doing so for approximately 3 years. Generally, we take a more, I would say, balanced sort of approach to the community that he's in, which would be the First Amendment auditors, sometimes veering into sovereign citizens. So what we do essentially is we research these individuals who go out in public with this anti-government, anti-police rhetoric, and we try to present more of a robust sort of picture as to who they are as individuals, what may be driving their rhetoric, and let viewers then make a determination as to what they really want to listen to as far as what they're saying. Mr. DeCastro was submitted to me by my viewers approximately 2 months ago. It took a little bit of research. I have not called his friends and family. He can only reference one phone call with David Condon because that is the only phone call that I made. It was directly to question him about a failed venture that looks quite a bit like a Ponzi scheme for an app called Coded Friends that never came into fruition. It looks like he took some investor money, he inserted it into some kind of low-level promotional materials and then was never able to come up with a product. So Mr. Condon and I did have a conversation. He relayed to me, he didn't really understand the purpose of what he was investing in. He did have good things to say about Mr. DeCastro. Through other avenues, I have spoken to people who have alleged that Mr. DeCastro has engaged in things like blackmail in the past. He is the recipient of over a dozen harassment and restraining orders over his lifetime. He does have a conviction, I believe, out of I want to say Alaska for harassment and stalking. We pull a lot of these public records. We provide them on YouTube. Mr. DeCastro has actually made it quite clear in his testimony. His intentions here today, what he wants to do is chill my free speech. He wants to prohibit me from putting this information out in public so that he can control the narrative with his viewers and continue to solicit funds from them. I have not made $6,000 on speaking with them. My channel is monetized. We make a very small amount of money. I maintain a full-time job. I'm a property manager. This is not my only avenue as far as any sort of revenue would be concerned. I have not called Mr. DeCastro. I'm happy to provide the court with my phone number. He will not have my phone number registered on those call logs. What Mr. DeCastro is leaving out on the 3 different occasions while broadcasting himself to hundreds of people, Mr. DeCastro spoke out his own phone number. So he did that as recently as last night. He has obviously, he's a divisive individual who is engaged in some activities that a large amount of people take exception to. I could point to no less than 5 other YouTube channels that also cover him in a negative light. So when he speaks out his phone number in public like that, he is going to attract people. I have no control over who calls him. I don't. I would suggest to Mr. DeCastro that if he doesn't want to get calls from strangers on the internet, it would be prudent to not broadcast your number on the internet. But I have not directed anyone to do that. I have not engaged in that myself, and I have no control over what other people do. He is continuing to reference my Discord. So I have what's called a Discord server. It is essentially a messaging and community sort of app. I have approximately 1,600 people in that Discord. I do not control what they say or do. We have very basic guidelines as far as we don't allow racist or homophobic or any sort of ableist speech in there, and we don't allow credible threats of violence. Outside of that, I do not restrict the free speech of my users. They're not tracking him by any nefarious or illegal means. The name Masshole Mafia Hit Squad obviously is satirical. It's it's because this is sort of the way that we are framed by people such as Mr. DeCastro. They treat us as sort of I believe we've actually been called a mafia by some of the subjects that we cover. So it is satirical. It's been in existence for 3 years now, far before I even know who Mr. DeCastro was. So we did not create that with the explicit idea of following him. What he's referencing is something called Chili Watch. It's in there. It's where people watch his videos. Anytime they are tracking any of his movement, and I say tracking very loosely, what they are doing is they are watching him broadcast himself. So this is publicly available information that Mr. DeCastro, again, himself is broadcasting to the internet. As far as the Airbnb incident, I would direct you back to a screenshot when you do receive that. They didn't take pictures of his house. What they did was they posted a listing for the Airbnb and said this matches where he's broadcasting. That was not me. Like, I had nothing to do with that. I didn't see anything at that point worth deleting, as it was a public Airbnb listing. I don't know much about anyone contacting the Airbnb. I would surmise that if they were contacted, it's because Mr. DeCastro is currently on the run from a warrant out of Ohio. He is carrying firearms that he did not procure in a legal way. He does have 2 permanent restraining orders taken out on him out of the state of California. I've been in contact with at least one of the plaintiffs in those cases. They are terrified of him. And he is carrying a firearm anyway. He waves them around on these live streams a lot. So I would surmise that if someone had contacted the Airbnb, it was because he was broadcasting himself, waving around a firearm, and they were concerned by that. I have never threatened any physical harm on Mr. DeCastro. However, Mr. DeCastro on several occasions has made threats to me. During the parade incident that he references, he threatened to knock me on the ground, knock me unconscious. He asked the police for permission to pepper spray me. I never bumped into him. What he was doing, and a police officer actually witnessed this, as well as I have a witness here, the colleague that he said that he was here to film with, is actually in the courtroom today. What Mr. DeCastro was doing as I was exercising my First Amendment right to be in public and film him, is he would stop short, he would take a couple steps back, and he would body check himself into me. At one point, he elbowed me so hard that my phone fell out of my hand. That's on camera as well. He did go to the police. It's not a criminal report that they took. It was an investigative report. I spoke to them. I explained to them that he was broadcasting himself at a Memorial Day parade, again, openly in public. During the course of this Memorial Day parade, the Stoneham police received, I believe, somewhere around 12 to 14 calls about Mr. DeCastro because he was approaching families with young children and yelling at the children and scaring them, telling them that the police will rape them, that the police will put them in a cage, don't trust the police, above parents' objections. So when I saw this, I did at that point go to essentially flip the script on Mr. DeCastro and engage in the activities that these First Amendment auditors would, which is to stand in public and film and engage at a reasonable distance. The only person that was battered during that entire incident was me. He shoved me several times, he body checked me, he elbowed me. This was witnessed by probably hundreds of people, as well as several officers in uniform. Mr. DeCastro also has sent me what he calls his official cease and desist. There were some implicit threats in that as well. If you'd like, I can read that to you right now.
You can read that into the record, sure.
He goes, all right, 2 mass hole reports.
Well, was this communicated to you via email?
So essentially what he had done is he had requested that Josh Abrams, who was in the courtroom today, send this to me via Facebook Messenger as an official cease and desist. When I then went up in public and said, you're sending me an official cease and desist third party through Facebook Messenger, and you consider yourself to be a constitutional law expert, the next day he responded by then copying the majority of this into an email and then emailing it to me. He is also copied and pasted this exact, what I'm about to read you in its entirety, and he sent it to 3 other individuals as well.
And is it from a email address, or is this from a...
DeleteLawz@gmail.com, yes, sir.
What is it?
DeleteLawz@gmail.com.
Okay. And when did you receive this?
I'm sorry. I actually had this sent back over to me. I don't have great cell phone service in here.
How do you know that this email was sent by Mr. DeCastro?
The email address. So the original communication that I received was, again, Facebook Messenger, third party through Joshua Abrams, who indicated Jose DeCastro has asked me to send this to you. I then further corroborated that it did come from him because 2 other individuals, a YouTuber that goes by the name Blue Bacon and a YouTuber that goes by the name of Uncle Artie, they received verbatim this exact same message from DeleteLawz@gmail.com, which is listed, or was at one point listed on his YouTube channel publicly as his email address.
Okay.
So it goes to mass hole report. It's been brought to my attention that you reported I have a criminal record. You have 24 hours to retract your statement or face a lawsuit for defamation. If you do not retract your statement publicly, I will file a lawsuit against you for defamation via slander. Your continued policy and practice, standard of operation, proves a pattern of harassment, and at this point, I'm willing to take legal action. And I would pause and just interject here that at this point, I have had no contact with Mr. DeCastro, so this is the first point of contact right here. I have documented that I've asked you to leave me alone. I've documented that I forcefully, with vulgarity, told you to leave me alone, and then I've documented the last time you contacted me to leave you alone. And again, I would interject and say that he is saying these things, but he could provide no proof of any contact at this point because I had not contacted him. This is the first time that I had received any contact whatsoever. You are disseminating lies about me, and that is defamation. The truth is the only metric that saves you from defamation, and I'm telling you, I have no criminal record. I have already downloaded your video. You have 24 hours to retract your statement or face legal action. My legal team has been blind carbon copied on this email. On Monday, ... I will sue you, ... It's that simple. I do not wish to have any contact with you. I do not wish to return correspondence from you. If you continue to harass me publicly, you will end up in federal district court. I will check your social media channels for the retraction. If it is not complete and full, you'll be served a lawsuit next week. I don't care if I win. I care that you have to hire a lawyer. I care that I extend the process for as long as I can to drain you. Now, for the last time, you stupid, retarded fuck, I'm not interested in any relationship with you, and I've continually told you this. I don't care that you're a loser and you have nothing going on with your life. You have no motivation. I don't care. I will be checking your social media channels tomorrow. I hope you think I'm kidding. I hope you think that you can do what you've done and get away with it, you piece of shit. Now leave me the fuck alone. You're damn lucky we have a legal system and I'm a man of law and order, or I would let you know when I was coming so I could see the look of fear on your face as I closed it. You retarded imbecile. The information you're getting off the internet isn't true. Dumb fuck. You'll find out in court if you don't retract what you said about me. By Friday, we will begin putting the lawsuit together. I hope you don't listen. You can't fix stupid and you're a fucking retard. Jose M. DeCastro, AKA Chili from Delete Lawz.
You heard Mr. DeCastro testify about an incident in which I believe it is alleged you posted that you were white-knuckled with anticipation about a confrontation. Is there anything that you would like to tell the court?
So he is referring to a public live stream. He also references that I stated we were tracking him like an endangered great white shark. What he is referring to is a public live stream. It's hyperbolic speech. I have an element of humor. It's quite candid off the rip. So I'm recounting this, and, you know, to a certain extent, just like if you're chasing down a story, right? Yeah, there was a certain level of like, you know, are we going to be able to do this? It's sort of the gold standard if you're able to take these, what they purport to be, you know, from First Amendment protected activities and flip it around on them. This is the same, you know, sort of, actually, it is the behavior that I engaged in was much more agreeable and non-confrontational than how they would engage the police, right? Like, you know, so it is perfectly legal for them to stand on a public sidewalk and pull out the cell phone and film an officer and tell him that he's a dirty pig and I hope he gets shot in the line of duty, which Mr. DeCastro and others have done regularly, right? All I did was stand out on a public sidewalk and film him and say, this is my brother. He's escaped from his group home. Don't worry, guys, he's off his medication. And that was, you know, number one, you know, because I knew that it would irritate him and it pressure tested him a little bit. He was not able to follow the same standards that he has applied for police and public officials when he films them. And number two, it diffused the situation for the numerous families and children that felt extremely harassed and threatened by Mr. DeCastro. He took his attention off of them, and his attention for the remainder of the parade was then squarely on me. When I was asked to leave by police because it was causing a disturbance, asked, not ordered, because I was engaging in lawful activity, I did so without incident. And I do have a witness to all this as well.
Mr. DeCastro, were you able to email those documents to the email address? You're muted. Mr. DeCastro, you're muted, sir.
1 second. I will email those even right this second. I was just listening and taking notes. Respond.
Okay.
1 second. And can you just rattle that off to me, that email address, or is there a way I can find it on here?
Can we chat that email address?
I already did, Judge.
It should be in the chat, Mr. DeCastro. Ms. Peter, do you wish to present any additional evidence or tell anything additional to the court?
He also states that he was not threatening to come to my home when he drove to Massachusetts. He fled from Ohio from a warrant. He stated several times in public that he knew where I lived. I was lucky that he was not his father and that he was going to deal with me through legal channels because otherwise I would be physically harmed. He had full intention of showing up at my house uninvited. He solicited others for my address and did receive it. And it was actually Mr. Abrams who had to convince him that that would be ill-advised because he was fully prepared to show up to my house completely unannounced. What I did was I did publicize, I'm waiting right here for you. You're not going to get near my family or my children, but if you wish to serve me, then, you know, go ahead and do so. He never had any legal documentation to serve me. This was simply a intimidation tactic on Mr. DeCastro's part, you know, and obviously he doesn't respond well when his intimidation tactics kind of fall flat, as can be evidenced at the parade where he escalated to physically battering me in the presence of police officers and several small children.
He was indicating that he was going to appear at your home to serve you with a legal document?
Yes, even though, I mean, he's not legally entitled nor qualified to actually offer me service.
How did that communication, what form of communication?
So it was YouTube live stream.
And was that directed at you?
Yep.
Which video is that? Can she list the video, please, sir? I've never said that. Can she list the video?
Mr. DeCastro, I
Yes,
said
sir.
at the outset that I want to hear from both parties.
Sorry,
I would
I
ask
just
you
wanna-
not to interrupt. I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond. So
Yes,
just
sir.
please,
Sorry.
ask you to wait until she's.
Yeah, I'm just taking notes, and I wanted to know which video I would say that in.
Okay. Ms. Peter, anything additional?
I think so. I mean, he also referenced, you know, the video that I had stated that I would, you know, lawfully request the court audio of his initial appearance here to try to get an order ex parte, and that I would, you know, do a video about it. I do believe in transparency in the courts. I would also point out that Mr. DeCastro actually audio recorded that hearing without the court's permission, disseminated it to several individuals. I have received it, so I'm already aware of what's on the hearing. I believe at one point he called one of your fine court officers a scumbag and intentionally waited until about 4:30 in the afternoon to get this order so that I would not have a chance to respond in his mind, because he is not a resident of Massachusetts. He's not a resident of the county. He does not live here at all. He's not familiar with our protocol. But that was what I was referencing, is that he was unable to contain himself within the courtroom in front of the judge and actually erupted into calling, you know, one of your court officers a scumbag.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Attorney, Mr. DeCastro, do you wish to make any response to what Ms. Peter just testified to?
Sure. I mean, listen, it's true that I don't like police. That's 100% factual. However, I'm not anti-government. I'm pro-government. I'm pro having a Bill of Rights and a constitutional standard. So that is true, but saying I'm anti-government is completely false. I'm for petitioning, assembling, and legislation. And then furthermore, I've never said I'm going to her house on a live stream. I would now redirect to the district attorney for perjury. She perjured herself several times just now. My home address is on her Discord. My home address is on her Discord account in California. My cell phone number is on her Discord account, which she should have removed. It's doxing me. And then a credible threat of violence. I've never threatened her with violence ever. I want nothing to do with her. I didn't ask her to follow me around. This idea that she has a First Amendment right to audit me, I am not a public figure. And it's clearly defined what a public figure is. And that's not me just because I have a YouTube channel. I've announced that one day I'm going to run for governor, but that doesn't make me a public figure because I've never raised campaign funds and I've never started a campaign for governorship. That would make me a public figure. I haven't done that. And then, but you know, the idea that she's tracking my movements, they posted where I'm at in Ohio, then she says we're tracking him. It's not funny. If I'm tracking Zachary Hillman, like an endangered great white, we know his every move. That's not funny. That causes intentional infliction of emotional distress. And then, wait, I didn't ask her to drive down there white knuckled. I didn't ask for that. She came down there to cause a purpose confrontation, which is what she did. She came there to make a video about me to make money.
Mr. DeCastro, you just cut out. So I would ask that you repeat about the last 5 seconds of what you just said.
I said, if you're tracking me and you're posting where my whereabouts are, this isn't something they're just doing through my live stream. As I proved a moment ago, he just crossed over the Maryland border. That's incredible. That's endear herself to the court and try to say that rude to a cop at the court. I'm rude to a cop, like cops. That's my right. Now, I can't move into violence or project violence. And then she said that I wish the cop would get shot. That's not true. That's absolutely incredible. That's incredible. And then she says, it's that the only thing I've ever said, whether it have been harsh or not, and used Cohen versus California from 1971, which gives me the right to free speech, I didn't threaten her in any way, shape, or form. It clearly shows the veracity of my emotional state when I'm saying, leave me the fuck alone, stay away from me. She makes videos about me every single day. She doesn't have a right to First Amendment audit me. I know that listen, she just doesn't understand it. You're not allowed to harass and stalk someone. And whether she endears herself to the court or not, case precedent is clearly established. 3 or more times she's mentioned my location. She's posted account, my location, my address, my phone number. That's going to go right. That's going to go directly to Commonwealth versus Walters. She doesn't have to scare me physically or threaten me with physical damage, according to Agus versus Howard Johnson, 1976. The tracking of me in Commonwealth versus Brennan clearly states that when she lists where I'm at more than 2 times, that is stalking. That is criminal stalking. And in the 1971 case of George versus Jordan Marsh, extreme conduct. Remember, court, I don't know this person. I've never been friends with her. We've never worked together. She admits to calling one person, but it's incredible. She's called several. Then on her, called my mother a fat fucking bitch. I don't understand that. I don't know who her mom is. I wouldn't call her mom that. I don't understand it. And then all of the defaming comments she's made about me. If she had endeared herself to another person on YouTube who's going to try to disparage me, it just goes to show there's no limits, no boundaries to what this woman will do to harass. It's incredible. I've laid out clearly the case law. I've laid it out clearly. I've listened to hundreds and hundreds of district cases and Supreme Court cases. I have proven my case beyond a reasonable doubt. This person and I should have no more contact. She should not make videos about me. I should not make a video about her. We should part amicably. She should go on about her life and do whatever she wants, but harassing my family, my friends, and me. And you guys just saw on my live stream, Kate always wins over and over and over. The mass calling of my phone when I'm on live stream. That proves in Commonwealth versus Wotan that she is actually harassing me. More than 3 calls is harassing. More than 3. Now, if she's using Google numbers or alternate numbers, who else is calling my phone hundreds of times during my live stream? Who else is doing that? It's her. She's the one harassing me. It's her. It is her. I didn't ask for any contact with her, and I never have. But this, and then I think the district attorney should be made aware of the perjury she just committed. It's trying to paint me in a light as though I'm some danger, and I don't have anything like that in my record. Matter of fact, the only conviction that was listed in my record was disorderly conduct from when I was 19 years old. That was almost 30 years ago. I mean, so I am a man of law and order. I believe in rule of law. I believe that America has lost its way and we're not living by a constitutional Bill of Rights standard. And that's all I'm trying to do. I do not wish harm on police. I don't like them, but that's my right not to like them. Our prison system's out of control. So, I am not a public figure. New York Times versus Sullivan. I'm not a public figure. No matter how this person tries to interpret, she's incorrect in her data. It's not true. I'm not a public figure. Now, don't get me wrong. Someday I'd love to be governor but it's not true. And the credible threat of violence is when you post the Airbnb house where I'm at. And then, just so you know, to get that Airbnb house, which is on my video from that day on May 25th, I look in my rearview mirror and I say I'm being followed. And then I take evasive action to ditch the tail. But unfortunately, they followed me to where I was staying. It's on live stream. They literally were following me around because this woman put my information on her Discord. And she can say that my phone number has been listed, But unless you're running a troll account with people called Trolly and Troll and Double Troll and I Love to Troll Chili, and those are the names of their accounts. There's dozens of accounts on her Discord and dozens of accounts on her YouTube that use my name in them. It's not a stretch to know that when I go live, she's posting or someone's posting in their Discord account, and then they're harassing me, which is a violation of Commonwealth versus Wooten from 2015 versus Walters. I apologize. I only had a day to really prep the cases, so sorry if I'm not a little slow.
Madam Clerk, have we received those documents?
I have not.
Did you send those documents?
Can't get to it. If you just tell me the email
Okay.
address, I'll talk.
All right, so this is what we're going to do then. This is what we're going to do. I am not going to make a determination until I see those documents.
What's your email? Send them now. I don't want to make.
We're going to take a recess so that you can send those documents to the court. And I'm going to recall this matter. How voluminous are the documents, Mr. DeCastro?
I can get them over to you as soon as I have the email address, but I can't see it on here. I don't know.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I'm asking how many pages are we talking?
Are we talking the PDFs or the videos? I can send you video links where she openly says she's tracking me, and then
The PDF. We won't be able to see the videos. We won't be able to see the videos.
My last point is on June 1st, 2022, she announces to her subscribers as she's streaming live, I'm sorry, she announces that I'm driving down there, I'm checking in with the Discord. Is he still there? That's not a joke. Then 5 minutes, I'm 5 minutes out. He's not getting away. They're telling me he's still there. That's not parody. That's not funny. Mr. Hillman, if I did that to you or Ms. Hinkle, the previous judge, could you even imagine how it would go for me? Could you even fathom?
Mr. DeCastro, how many pages is the PDF document that you're going to send over?
47.
I'm just 47. All right. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to take a recess so I can review the documents that you're going to send over, so that I can review the cases that you've cited. And we're going to recall this matter at 2 p.m.
Excuse me, Honor, just to kind of make it easier, I mean, we're going through this voluminous document. I'd like to give you my Discord username so that you can see what I've posted, because it sounds like Mr. DeCastro is vacillating between admitting that these are other people and then trying to attribute it directly to me. So I can give you my YouTube my Discord username here.
We're also going to provide you, Ms. Peter, with copies of what is coming into the court,
Sorry.
since you have a right to see those as
Case
well.
law, case law, clearly.
So we will recall this matter at 2 p.m.
That's
Okay.
going to be, that'll be 1 p.m. Okay, got it.
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Your Honor,
Thank
in the
you.
meanwhile, Mr. Hillman, in the meanwhile, can you make it so that she can no longer harass me using these harassment proceedings? Because what she'll do is she'll go out right now.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to issue any order until I see the evidence that you're going to present, and I've had an opportunity to review that.
I'm saying for 2
Nope,
hours.
I'm not issuing any additional order at this point. We will recall the matter at 2 p.m. once I've had an opportunity to review the materials that you're going to provide the court.
Yes, sir.
2 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'll end it for now.
Okay. And when we have the documents, we can provide a copy to Ms. Peter as well.
Yes.
Is there anything else that?
I'm gonna check that. I'm
Okay.
not sure how they're doing, so. Oh, I know that.
All right. Court's now in session. You may be seated.
Back on record in the matter of Jose De Castro and Catherine Peter. I got it late.
All right, Mr. DeCastro, can you hear and see us okay? You're on mute, sir.
Okay, yes, sir, I can hear and I can see you okay, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, we are back on record. Mr. DeCastro, thank you for providing. We did receive your exhibits. I did have the opportunity to review the exhibits, not only the exhibits, but the case law that you forwarded as well. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
I have a couple, having reviewed, and let me ask Ms. Peter, we provided you with copies of what Mr. DeCastro has also provided to the court. Is that correct, ma'am?
I believe it's partial possibly, but yeah, I mean, I would say probably about 10 pages here.
Okay. Can I just have the file? Or, you know what, I forgot the file in,
I'll get it over there.
it's in the lobby,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can get it.
Here, you give it to me?
I can go around the other
Okay.
side.
Mr. Hillman, I didn't get a
Having
chance.
reviewed, go ahead, sir.
I just didn't get a chance to bring in the witness who I have on hold, and I don't know this man. I only know him from online. He said himself he was the target of Kate before, where he received hundreds of phone calls, thousands from her followers, disrupted me during work, lured me to a bar where I was then threatened in a parking lot by her thugs. She posted my personal information, including my number online. That's a policy and practice, sir. And I actually have him on the line right now to tell you his story himself. And this is the fourth person who I've tracked down that she's done this to. One of them, I believe, is in court there, so he will no longer be the focus of her ire.
Mr. DeCastro, I have a couple questions based on what you provided to the court. So one of the documents that I have here, or one of the screenshots that you provided, was what looks to be a screenshot of a message from Airbnb. Is that correct?
Yes, that was my Airbnb host in Youngstown, Ohio, who I had become fairly good friends with. I was there for 8 days. We hiked together 6 days, and he got to know me as a person. I told him I don't believe that America's living under rule of law, whether you show up the exact law or not. That we're living under whether we like you or not. And so after we hiked together 6 days, he received that. He took a screenshot and sent it to me. He blocked out his personal information, but he's the one who blocked that person named Sean, who I am going to get a court order and I'm going to get from Airbnb, and I'm going to file against that guy for stalking.
All right. So I'm just gonna read this into the record. So it says, I just wanted to make you aware that your current guest, Jose Maria DeCastro, aka Chili DeCastro from California, has been live streaming anti-police propaganda, various statements that could be interpreted as threats from your home. He is also in possession of a firearm, a .44 revolver, which he has brandished live on stream in your dining room. I'm not sure that this is the type of guest you want to host. You can view his antics in your home on his YouTube channel, Delete Lawz. I felt compelled to inform you based on his erratic behavior and improper handling. And then it cuts off. So, Mr. DeCastro, the question I have for you is, do you know who sent this message to your Airbnb host?
The name on the account is Sean. I have to file for a court order from Airbnb for them to give me that information. However,
Okay.
I do have my host's number. I can call him on the phone. He'll jump on.
No, and the second question I have is, at any point while you were in that Airbnb rental, was there any sort of public information made about where you were located at that time?
Absolutely not, because I had been being followed. I knew I'd been being followed. I announced it publicly So I hid my location extraordinarily well. As a matter of fact, the only time I live streamed was from inside of the room. You can see there with the Mickey Mouse picture. You can check every video I have over that time period. I specifically hid my location because I knew I was being followed, and I'm being followed.
All right, so that at no point then, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. At no point did any person put or post anything publicly, either on YouTube or some other means of communication, that would indicate that you were in that location.
Well, they did on Kate's Discord. That's where they posted that.
Where?
They posted that on Kate's Discord, on Kate Peters' Discord account. They posted where I was, my location, a picture of the house. Someone actually physically followed me, sir. Followed me down the street.
And let me ask you, who posted on Kate's Discord that location?
A guy named Sean. It's in there. It's inside of there. And apparently, I'm going through the process with Discord to try to find out who that person is.
Okay. All right. The second question I have was regarding the evidence that Ms. Peter was waiting in anticipation of a confrontation and that you were being tracked.
Yes.
Now, am I correct that the tracking language was in regards to you driving towards her residence to serve her with legal documents?
No, not at all.
Okay.
In Ohio, no one even knew I was going to Boston. I didn't announce I was going to Boston. I didn't tell anybody. And then when they tracked me, I was actually leaving Boston. And
and so let me ask you about that. I just want to make sure that I understand what the tracking language has to do with. So where was the tracking language being posted?
It was being posted in Discord, and it goes all the way back to the middle of May. And then she tracked me again on June 8th, where she publicly announced, we're tracking him like an endangered great white, tagging him. We know his every move.
All right, and that was posted, was that posted by Ms. Peter?
Yes, she said it herself on June 8th. I've transcribed the documents.
Okay.
They're in files.
Okay. And she posted that on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or was it posted as a post on Discord?
It was, she said it aloud on her YouTube, and then it was posted on Discord. She's using she's using the two different social media platforms, which again is going to go back to Commonwealth versus Walters. You know, I've laid out the case precedent, Your Honor. And if this was you, sir, and you were being tracked like an endangered great white, we know your every move.
Mr. DeCastro, I'm just trying to understand. I just want to make sure that I have a clear picture of what you're telling the court.
And I just want to make sure that I've clearly laid out what the rule of law is, the case precedent is. This is my whole argument against the whole.
And what was, with respect to the tracking language, what did you understand that to be in regards to? Were you physically coming from Ohio into Massachusetts?
I was actually leaving the Northeast when I was going through Maryland just night before last, and that's on the Discord, which you have in that email, where they say he's crossing over the Maryland border heading south. So they're tracking me all the time, 24 hours, no matter where I go or what I do. If I do turn on my camera and I show any part of the location I'm in, they'll tag it and put me on their Discord account so I can be tracked. And she said, what, there's 1,600 people in there? That would put a reasonable person in fear for their safety. Of course it does.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask Ms. Peter, with respect to the tracking language that you just heard testimony, first of all, have you personally posted language regarding tracking of Mr. DeCastro?
No. I mean, we've not, other than stating, again, hyperbolic speech and the hubris that we were tracking him like an endangered great white shark. But again, I mean, at no point did we indicate that we were actually physically tracking him. It's not 24 hours a day. That's impossible. There's no devices being placed on him. He broadcasts his location. And actually, while the court was in recess, I was able to pull up where he did indicate on the live stream that he was coming to Massachusetts to serve me. Again, he also had made statements at one point that he had my address, and I was very lucky that he wasn't like his father, or I would be physically harmed, right? I also pulled up some clips where he makes not explicit threats, but implicit threats that he would shoot me in the head and I would be talking to God.
What was your statement regarding tracking him like a great white in regards to?
In regards to following around, well, not following around, but yeah, keeping tabs on where he was in Massachusetts.
Across
Okay.
the country.
That's not, again, my statement was in regards to keeping track of where he was in Massachusetts after he had made implicit threats to show up at my home.
Okay.
I would like to call my witness at some point too, because he can further elaborate on his plan to, again, come to my home unannounced while he is carrying unregistered firearms in his vehicle that were improperly stored after making implicit physical threats against my safety.
That's not what this hearing is about.
While running.
I'm not on trial. I'm the one filing a complaint for harassment to separate us, because I don't want to have involvement with this person who's harassing me. I don't know if they're going to hear from you.
I'm just making a few notes.
Of my life for over a year and continue. Posted my personal information online.
I'm sorry, is someone playing something?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Someone's talking on my. I have a witness online that just shows the policy and practice, so I have him here ready to say something. He's just talking because he's upset hearing what he's hearing. He was also tracked.
On the Zoom, Judge, or just on?
Is that Barrington Maddox?
No, I'm sorry. The name is Joseph Hart. The man on the phone is named. There's 4 guys total, and one of them is there so he's not the focus of her attention.
I would object due to hearsay, Your Honor.
You know, Your Honor.
I'm not going to. So the question before the court is whether a harassment prevention order should issue on behalf of Mr. DeCastro against Ms. Peter. That is the question for the court today. I'm taking a minute here. I'm making a few notes.
Your Honor, this is her livelihood. This is how she makes money, is by making a mockery of other people. That's what she does for a living, and she's done it for a living for 3 years. She was previously attached to a different channel called Turtle Boy, and she had a sidekick where they did the same thing.
I would object due to relevancy.
It's totally relevant.
Mr. DeCastro, again, the question before the court is based on the evidence that I have before me, whether a harassment prevention order should issue against Ms. Peter. I'm going to ask the parties to just bear with me for a moment. I am making notes.
I mean, I believe if I made 26 videos about you, Your Honor, you would get a harassment protection order against me.
All right. I have considered all of the evidence, and I am going to make my findings right now at this point. So I'm not going to issue any written order for the parties. To the extent that the parties wish my findings, they can get them via FTR, and you can contact the clerk's office to do so. The question before the court, as I have indicated, is whether a harassment prevention order pursuant to Chapter 258E should issue. The question before the court today is whether, and the only basis on which 258E could issue based on the evidence that I've heard today, would be whether there's been a showing of criminal harassment pursuant to Chapter 265, Section 43A. Much of what has been reported to the court today involves speech and conduct that could be considered to be protected under the First Amendment, and so the court is mindful that any speech that would be considered as a basis for criminal harassment would have to constitute a true threat or fighting words. I cite ASR versus AKA 92 Mass App Court 270. So with that background, my findings are as follows. Mr. DeCastro and Ms. Peter do not know one another personally. Approximately 30 days ago, Ms. Peter began to post videos on YouTube regarding Mr. DeCastro. She linked to these videos via her Discord account. She also posts messages to her approximately 1,600 followers on that same Discord account. The name on the Discord account and the YouTube posts that she reports under are mass hole reports. The purposes of, Mr. DeCastro, I'm just going to ask you to let me make my findings on the record. The purpose of Ms. Peters' posts regarding Mr. DeCastro is to highlight information that Ms. Peter believes needs to be shared with her audience. Several of Ms. Peters' reports and posts about Mr. DeCastro have cast Mr. DeCastro in a negative light. Ms. Peter posts regarding Mr. DeCastro have led several of Ms. Peters' subscribers to comment negatively via a chat function about Mr. DeCastro, as Mr. DeCastro, who is also a person who broadcasts on a YouTube channel, broadcasts live. The court has received information and screenshots provided by Mr. DeCastro that highlights these chat messages that have been provided. The court takes note that Mr. DeCastro has categorized this as trolling, and the court finds it to be consistent with what it understands to be trolling. Mr. DeCastro has received numerous, by his account, hundreds of phone calls since Ms. Peter has been posting about Mr. DeCastro. Mr. DeCastro's mother, family, and friends have also received numerous phone calls. The court does not find, by a preponderance of the evidence, that Ms. Peter made these phone calls or that she directed these phone calls to be made to Mr. DeCastro. The court finds that while Ms. Peter posts the videos to YouTube, she has not communicated any true threat or fighting words to Mr. DeCastro or directed that any threat or fighting word be directed at Mr. DeCastro. There has been one communication with Ms. Peter directly to one of Mr. DeCastro's investors, but the court does not find, by a preponderance of the evidence, that that communication involved any true threat or fighting words. The court has heard evidence that Mr. DeCastro was at an Airbnb rental in Ohio, and his Airbnb host was messaged, and that someone by the name of Sean posted his location. Mr. DeCastro finds this to be concerning. I understand why he finds that to be concerning. Nevertheless, the court does not find that Ms. Peter posted that information or that she directed that information be posted. The court has also heard of an incident in which Mr. DeCastro was claimed to have been tracked by Ms. Peter in anticipation of a confrontation. That was Ms. Peter's words. The court does not find this reference to a confrontation to be a true threat or fighting words, nor does it find it to be akin to the surreptitious setting of a GPS device on a vehicle. In context, the court finds that this statement regarding her anticipation of a confrontation to be in regards to being served with a legal document, and the court finds that this reference confrontation was anticipated to be verbal, not a physical confrontation. With respect to the tracking language, the court finds that this information was broadcast by Ms. Peter. It was broadcast in response or based on information that was broadcast by Mr. DeCastro publicly, and accordingly that is not a true threat or fighting words. The court therefore declines to issue a harassment prevention order. I'm citing Kareem K versus Ida I, 100 Mass Ave Court 902. That's a 2022 case in support of my determination. The order is not going to issue.
What are my appeal processes? Am I allowed to appeal?
You certainly are, Mr. DeCastro. You have a right of appeal. My findings are on the record. I put them specifically on the record in case you wish to appeal, so that you have a thorough record of what I considered in my legal determination. You can consult the rules of appellate procedure as to how the appellate appeals process proceeds. And to the extent that you need to get a copy of the FTR or the recording, you can contact the clerk's office and they'll provide you with that information, sir.
So if I did this to you, okay, let's see how it goes. I mean, we're not living under rule of law. You're just making things up as you go. You're just deciding because you don't like me and this woman's a big cop sucker.
So,
that I'm the bad guy.
Mr. DeCastro, it has nothing to do with whether I like you or don't like you. I'm making my determination based on the law, and that's why I put it on the record so that you can appeal it if you think that I'm incorrect. Okay, sir?
I think the court's a joke. That's what I think. What a joke, Joe. I mean, you're hearing it. You're hearing it.